It's not to the date, but 20 years ago, we had the unfortunate passing of Owen Hart.
Yep.
May of 1999.
That's such a shame.
And we're now in 2019, 20 years later, in May 22, 2019. And I wanted to talk about it a little bit and how we remember it, and you know how the WWE has evolved since that day, and you know some things that's going on. Quattro, you know, since you're the oldest, I'll let you go first.
I'm sorry.
How do you remember that day?
Well, first off, it ain't funny. Let's start there.
You don't want to laugh.
I know, I'm still laughing. I definitely remember watching that pay-per-view. I remember being young. I remember watching the pay-per-view, little kid, wrestling fan, and seeing what happened, and you just sitting there like, that doesn't look right. Like, I'm not going to say I fully understood, like, wow, what happened, but I remember like, oh, okay, well, he hit the ground, but the crowd is silent. And then it just instantly blanks out, and I'm sitting there like, there's something wrong with TV. Did somebody pay the bill? Didn't pay the bill? Like, what's going on? And then it comes back on, and you can hear distress in the commentator's voice, and the crowd has the life sucked out of them. And I remember the next match with the Stain in the ring, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then I'm starting to put it together, and I'm like, yo, is he okay? Stupid question, but still, I can remember that feeling, and going to school on Monday, and like, did y'all see wrestling this weekend? So it was a very messed up time, even down to watching that Raw, and just it was a wild time. That's all I can really say. It was a wild time.
How about you, Lady Sketch?
Well, I don't really have much, like commentary to add to when it actually happened, because my parents weren't into the whole wrestling thing. So I didn't get to watch pay-per-views. I only got to watch, I want to say SmackDown. I don't even think I got to watch Raw. Mm-hmm. It was like, ain't nobody giving up the TV so you can watch wrestling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember hearing about it and being like, wow, that, like, really? Like, you know how you hear stuff, you're like, nah, that ain't really happened. But it's just like, to think that something like that could happen, and then I remember being confused about things not happening, like not stopping, but not really being able to process why that was wrong until now, like as an adult. But I don't know. I don't have as much commentary to add as you guys do. Because that wasn't my life back then, unfortunately.
No, 1999, I really started getting into WWE because I always grew up as WCW, so I wasn't familiar with the wrestling deaths, because even when Brian Pillman died in '97, I was all WCW.
Yeah, I don't even think I was actively watching as much when he died. So
when the Finger Poke of Doom happened, I was like, fuck WCW. I was pissed. And I went over to WWE. I feel bad for laughing during this. Because 98, I was back and forth. So I knew who Owen Hart was.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was just like, okay. Because see, I didn't know how big Owen Hart was until I went backwards. Because when I was going to Owen Hart was wrestling for the European Championship. He was tag team with Jeff Jarrett.
I knew he was like in the nation for a minute.
Yeah, but see, I didn't know that part until I went backwards. I didn't know he had the big rivalry with Bret back in the mid '90s. He was king of the ring in '94. So I didn't know all that stuff.
I had no idea about that.
All I know is he was coming out there with Jeff Jarrett and Deborah with the caution tape on. So
right, because I believe when he passed, he was the Blue Blazer at that
exactly,
time, right?
and I was even more shocked because I didn't know that was his thing in the '80s. I was just like,
right,
what? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I saw WrestleMania 19. It was a success. I was like, I want to order Over the Edge, and I'm gonna be honest with you, because me and my sister wanted to watch Over the Edge so bad because Mark Henry was coming back with D'Lo Brown to face X-Pac and Kane, and I wanted to see that. It wasn't even about Undertaker and Stone Cold, and I wanted to see that, and I wanted to see The Rock versus Triple H in that strap match, and I had because Troy beat Rock over the casket and everything. It was crazy. So we ordered pay-per-view, $34.99. I'm watching it, and then they said, "Here goes." They show a clip of Godfather versus Blue Blazers for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
And it just stays there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, something wrong with the TV, something wrong with the thing. They show another WWF commercial, something like that. Then we get back, all these people around the ring. I'm like, what the hell happened? Mm-hmm. I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, get on with the show.
Yeah.
So then, when JR and King came back and said that Owen Hart is in critical condition, he suffered from a fall. Two things. Number one, I didn't know what critical condition meant as a kid. And when he said suffer from a fall, I'm like, I fall all the time. No, seriously.
I thought you were going to say, like, you thought somebody had fell in the ring or something. Not I fall all the time, though.
Like, I fall all the time. What's the big problem? So I'm sitting like, I'm 11 or 12 years old when this thing's going on. Yeah. So, then throughout the back is when it started to be apparent to me, like, when Jeff Jarrett was crying in this promo about to go out and face Val Venus or something like that. He was just like, "We pulling for you, Owen." I'm just like, what's happening? So then after a couple matches, they came back and said that Owen Hart has died from a fall. He was supposed to come down as a Blue Blazer, and then he fell from the ceiling. I was just like, oh, what? And honestly, that kind of took me out the whole night.
And that, I just want to ask a question, because this show, I don't want to highlight your show. Knowing what you know now about the company as a whole, and being an adult, do you feel like they should have went on with the show?
It's kind of hard because I know Owen will probably want them to go on with the show, but see, at that time, okay, honestly, it's very hard.
It is
because it's not like necessarily a money thing, because Vince could pay that fee to pay-per-view providers and stuff like that. That ain't the problem. It's very hard because you want to have respect for one of your coworkers. Yeah. But then it's also one of the things like we got this because you don't want to bring so much alarm where it upsets your audience.
I mean, after you had confirmation that he died, like, people watched him actively fall. I mean, even if it was like you showed something else to the pay-per-view provider, like pay-per-view purchasers, and you cut the show at the arena, these people just watch this man fall to his death. Yeah. I feel like I wouldn't even want to be there anymore. Like, it would completely...
But see, also... I'm listening.
No, if I could attempt to say it from this way. I had a heart attack at work, during work, while the job was going on. Even though I got emergency people wheeled out, everything, unfortunately, as wild as this said, they still had to finish that job.
Very true.
Like, it didn't stop the day. The day paused for a couple minutes or two, but while I was over there on the side dying, I'm like looking at my coworkers like, yo, you still gotta do your job. Like, it still has to happen. So if I'm gonna think about it from that vibe, you still gotta go to work. Which is rough to say from a pure ethical standpoint.
But see,
you still gotta go to work.
But see, here's the thing though, because I understand what Lady Sketch talking about also, because when Christopher Wilde died, they canceled all the Raw. Yeah. See, but see,
and
once
then
again,
to find out after that you should not have canceled Raw.
Exactly, but I'm just saying. But even, when you look at it there, you sit there thinking to yourself like, maybe they're trying to test for what happened with Owen Hart. And I mean, I can understand this is one of the reasons why his wife is mad.
No, I get it, because it's.
But it's a thing where, because nobody, that match wasn't even advertised. That's like a bonus thing,
and that's fine. It's just, my thought is, because I understand where you're coming from, Quattro, because I had the same thing happen to me when I was pregnant with our first son, our first child. I passed out at work on the bathroom floor, and nobody knew I was in there until somebody came and found me, and then it was a whole bunch of commotion. So I was just like, I never would have thought that the night is going to stop because I'm getting wheeled out on a stretcher. But ain't nobody paying to see me come entertain them. And that's no shade. Like, I mean, no shade to you or anybody else who has had something like that happen to them. Because I get it, it's happened to me. I was just like, nobody's coming and saying, here is my hard-earned money or whatever, and then has to watch me fall out and then be like, all right, well, let's just go back to playing games now. Like, it doesn't, I don't know. I get what y'all saying, because I feel the same way. It's a difficult decision, but it's still just like, I don't know, like, because it's not just your coworker. These are your friends that got to come into this ring and pretend like you didn't just die right here in the middle of this ring and put on a show for these people who paid to see y'all. I mean, I get it from both ends.
I think from certain reports, I don't think Vince made them work. So
like
he had a choice.
Okay, if they couldn't, if they
because
couldn't, they didn't.
It's kind of like Eddie Guerrero when he died. He gave him a choice. You either go out there, you perform, or you don't. And a lot of these guys, they got the performing in their blood.
This is true. I mean, they feel like that's probably honoring him.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, okay, I understand if he didn't make them work, that makes more sense. But it's still just like, man, that's so horrible. Like,
it is.
Yeah. Like reflecting on it, if I'm at work and something happens at my job and my coworkers dead, I want to cancel the day. I want to. I don't know if I can, but I want to.
But it also depends on the job.
Yeah.
Believe me, it also depends on the job.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in a job like a restaurant, so when I'm trying to think, because I wasn't there, but when my coworker Dave Buster's got shot, there were just people that just could not physically keep on working. You know what I'm saying? Because this happened that day.
Yeah.
So I think they had to like, but see, I wasn't there to know if they cut people early, or if they shut it down. Saying, look, we had a tragedy here, we got to suspend stuff, or David Buster's will be closing at this time.
Oh yeah,
and something like that.
They probably didn't.
When you're at a thing that is involving multi-million dollars, when you're when you're at a music concert, when you're at an entertaining a performer or a sporting event, there are people in wrestling and football that have died on the field, died on the court, died on the ring. People have done that before, and sometimes when you're in that situation, sometimes it all depends on the call. It really depends on the call and what people are there for. So it's a very hard call. But I do know the next night on Raw.
I didn't mean to hijack,
Oh no.
that segment. I was just curious.
No, I'm just saying. But the next night on Raw, they had a Raw is Owen show, and the superstars got to display, their affection for Owen and read poems and stuff like that, and they had matches if they wanted to go out there and perform. So it was a very hard thing. So now the unfortunate thing is Owen Hart. The name of Owen Hart is almost the erased Hart brother that nobody talks about because of the toxic situation that is going on. And I hate calling it toxic.
I mean, it
because
is. I understand.
Yeah.
To an extent, why? Because I would feel like that too. If something happened to you on your company's watch, and they wanted to do something that could possibly make money off of your name, well, not possibly, that would make money off of your name, and I didn't like the way they handled it after the fact, I'd probably be pissed too. I don't know if I'd be pissed like this, but I'd be pissed too.
See, it sucks because now we're saying this is 20 years later. There were people that were born in 99 that watch us now are 20 years old, don't even know who Owen Hart is.
Yeah, because
I've heard of him.
That's the one thing that I do that I said that's why I said to an extent, because it's like he has children. Didn't his son want to wrestle or something like that?
I guess if you're a Hart, you just wrestle. I guess if you're a Jackson, you sing. So
that's their life. That's their life. I get that.
I don't know. Is that really their life? It sounds like she don't involve them. She don't involve herself in any of the Hart business. Because I wouldn't be surprised if you held on to something this long, 20 years. You know how much work it takes to harbor hate in your heart for 20 for 2 whole ass decades,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be, I wouldn't be confused or like I wouldn't be surprised rather if she doesn't talk to the Hart family and they have nothing to do with the Hart wrestling legacy, because that's what killed her husband. And because that was my next one. She was never in the business, correct? Like his wife,
no.
She's just a and I think that's probably part of why. Because if he was married to somebody who had came from the business, they probably wouldn't feel as like they might be upset, but I don't know if they would feel such a way. But I wouldn't think, like, these kids come from such a rich legacy in that business, whether you want them to be in it or not. Because we see that all the time. It's a popular trope on TV where it's like, I was in X, Y, and Z industry and I don't want you to go into it, kind of thing. But these people don't even know who they dad is. Mm-hmm. Like, you know who he is. People in your generation know who he is. People in your kids' generation probably have no idea who Owen Hart is. It's like his legacy is dead. Mm-hmm. And it's sad because you can't do but so much, because you don't own the rights to all of his likeness. WWE does, from what I understand. So
no, she do.
She owns everything.
She owns.
They gave her everything.
No, that's why they can't make anything, because they don't have the permission to do so. Him? Yeah.
I mean, okay, but you're not doing nothing to keep his legacy alive.
The only thing that they can do is that on their network they are allowed to show old footage of Owen Hart and stuff. That you can't cancel the first match of WrestleMania 10. Okay, you can't cancel the cage match for SummerSlam 94.
Okay, but I understand that part. But I'm saying, but you're not doing much to preserve his legacy either.
Exactly. So, but when they made that Blu-ray called The Heart of Gold, there was a whole suing thing with that because they weren't allowed to do it. But Bret Hart backed it. Mm-hmm. So
of course he did.
Yeah, try to make it. But
as much animosity as she has towards Bret Hart,
yeah,
the Harts probably don't even know what his kids look like now. I hate to say that, but
there is.
I would hope that's not true, but I absolutely believe you're right.
But I think so. That's sad.
I mean, to the point, like, see now, so there are no DVDs, there are no T-shirts, there are no video games, there's nothing of Owen Hart. Which to be used.
It's hard, because you think about it, like, everybody is excited about Bret Hart coming, poor man falling off the stage to present the AEW title. Why isn't, we should know just as much about Owen? I mean,
and there's no Hall of Fame, there's no, and it's hard to say because the people that knew Owen will say that he wasn't even about that. But then, death is hard, and people take death differently.
Yeah, that's why I don't fault her for being upset.
No, I don't fault her for being upset either. I do, because I go both ways, because it's deeper than just you just try to take my husband's name for money. His brother can't even mention him on television.
That's the part I'm like, I don't fault her for being upset, but it's just like, if something was to happen to you, I would never want to take you from the people who had you before I was even here.
Yeah.
I would never say that your sister or your brothers or your mom or your dad couldn't say nothing about you or mention you or the legacy that you left because I'm upset. They had you for much longer than I did. Mm-hmm. It's not like you were born into this. It's cool. We chose each other. We built a life together. And yes, your family that you make comes before the family you come from in most cases.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't be like, oh, well, no, I don't want nobody. It's a complicated situation.
And it's sad that it's sad 20 years later, somebody who is a shoe-in, or as people call first ballot Hall of Famer, is still not there.
Yeah.
Or it's still not. There's nothing about Owen Hart that people see, and then his wife uses the thing. Well, if you want to learn about him, you go to W Network, or I have a Owen Hart Foundation. But when you're a wrestling fan, nobody's looking for the Owen Hart. They'll probably look for Owen Hart Foundation if they knew who Owen Hart was.
Exactly. But how do I know who he is? How do I get to Google?
Exactly.
It's like you want to say Google him. How do I get there if nobody says a word about him?
Yeah.
The only reason you become inquisitive and you want to know something is because you have a little nugget of information that you want to expand on. I don't got no nuggets. So what am I gonna? How am I getting there?
And I think the longer you hold out, the more money it's just going to generate.
True, because then everybody's gonna be like, oh my God, Owen Hart is finally on X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna go buy. It's.
Because me personally, I'm like, you know what? If I'm like this, all right, you know what, Vince, fuck it. I'll let you use them, but I get all the money.
Or if I say, or all the money goes to Owen Hart Foundation,
or the whole goes to the whole foundation, exactly.
I mean, I can see that.
Because I honestly, you know, Owen Hart is going to be a name that's going to sell, but Owen Hart ain't going to sell for the next 20 years. It'll sell a product at that time. Like if you want to put him in the Hall of Fame, you want to put him on W2K. Will it sell? Yes, but it ain't going to be as though like, okay, this is going to bring in no Avengers Endgame revenue.
Exactly. You go
for time. Yeah.
Having a Hall of Fame. Make a T-shirt that'll be available for a limited time, and then you know, or a limited number of programs with the Hall of Fame, whatever, and that's it. Because it's not going to be like 5-10 years from now. It might spike, like, you know how when people die or when something happens, it spikes people's streams. Yeah, people will go look for matches on the WWE Network, but it's not like they're going to go and be like, I had a toothpick that Owen Hart picked up at Burger King, and I'm gonna put it on eBay for auction. Like, it's not gonna, like, it's.
And I still feel bad because Brett lost damn near everybody. His dad is dead. His mom is dead. The Hart Foundation group from wrestling is gone. All of them. Pillman, Davey Boy, Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, they're gone. He is the last one. And then you go to his actual blood. He lost about 3 of them. He ain't, look, as Bret Hart, this man beat cancer. You know, this man, he beat a stroke. He beat all the stuff that he has gone on in his life.
He done dealt with Vince for over 30 years.
Exactly. He did. That Montreal Screwjob, all this stuff, and I feel bad for him all this time because I'm just like, is this man going to die and not be able to see the respect that his brother deserves? That's painful.
If Bret Hart died and she released the rights,
oh, that's petty.
I feel like she would get crucified, bro. Like, she'll get ran off all the social medias. She might get some threats. Like, What
was you gonna say, Quattro?
I think this is unfortunate to say, but this is real. It ain't happening.
Yeah, he probably will unfortunately pass away before he ever.
That's how that's gonna go down, unfortunately.
Because I don't know. I'm like, are y'all trying to hold out to see who died first? Like because everything's gonna get passed on to his kids, and I mean, who knows how they feel? Nobody's ever like talked to them.
Exactly. I don't even know what they even look like. If I can pick them out of a lineup.